Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. This morning I'm going to talk to you about how to stop your dog from getting stolen. Now this is a really horrible subject, but if you own dogs then it's something that you need to know about. You need to just learn about it, put the measures in place and get on and enjoy your dogs just the same as you do to keep your children safe or you safe. Unfortunately in this world we treat dogs really badly. So at the moment you've got the Chinese Yulin festival going on, which is a complete festival dedicated to the slaughter of dogs. You've got it completely okay across the world to have dog brothels. There's obviously all the bad breeding that goes on, the breeding farms that are going on, people nicking dogs to order. There's the dog baiting because there's dog fights. Now in the UK that's illegal, but that doesn't mean anything, it's going on all the time. And it's going on across the world, and so they're not only stealing dogs to actually do the fighting, but they're stealing dogs as dog bait, and that's a terrifying part because any dog will do, no matter how old or young or whatever. And they're stealing these dogs and they're just using them as bait to train the fighting dogs. So it's really bad. It's really bad out there. And the thing you've got to think about is, where are they getting these dogs from? Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of dogs are involved in these really cruel things that they're doing with dogs, and they got to get these dogs from somewhere. So where were they getting the dogs from? And it's organised crime, so there were gangs going round just stealing dogs. Now on top of that there are just day-to-day people, like so if there's a dog ring going on, then they may well be they'll find drug dealers. They find people who are on drugs and they're desperate for money, and they'll say to them, I'll give you £100 if you'll go and steal me 10 dogs. Well, that person's desperate for the drugs, hasn't got any money. £100 is a lot of money to them. They'll go and steal 10 dogs, and they don't care where they get these dogs from. And because of dog baiting and all of those awful industries, they don't care about the dogs. They just, any old dog will do. Obviously there's a whole load of pedigree dogs getting stolen for resale and stuff like that. But the point is, don't think my dog's old, my dog's ill, my dog's this, my dog's that. There is an industry for every single dog, and there's organised crimes that are doing it, and then like I said, there's also day-to-day people doing it. And the other thing that always alarms me is how many women get involved in this, because it's a good way of putting people off, because you wouldn't think that a woman would do something so awful. Well, trust me, they do. So women are involved with it just as much as men, so don't be put off by that. So it's a really horrible thing, and like I said, it's not something for you to worry about. Just get yourself educated about it, put the measures in place, and then get on and enjoy your life. I came across how bad dog theft was about 10 years ago, and ever since then I've become almost obsessed with researching it and understanding how these gangs work, so that I can make sure that my dogs have always been kept safe. And so I've done all the research, so don't you be worrying about, upsetting yourself too much about it. I've done the research for 10 years. I've been looking into this, and I'll tell you the measures that I've been putting in place. I keep all updated with it. If you want to keep updated with it, there is a place called Dog Theft Action. It's a Facebook page, and it is brilliant, and it really keeps you up to date on, well, it's not a very nice read, I have to say. For some of you I wouldn't recommend that you go and read it, but for others that you're okay and you can handle it, then I would research it, because you can see there how many dogs are getting stolen. You can see how they're getting stolen, whether it's from gardens or dog walks or houses or cars. You can see how it's happening, and that is all an education for you. And if you can stomach it, then do look at the really gory side of dog theft. If you can't, that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just watch my video and be a little bit more educated. So I'm going to go through the things now one by one that I do to stop my dogs from being stolen. Right, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to avoid yourself becoming a target. And that means when you're out, so this tip is for when you're walking your dogs. You need to look alert. You've got to, if somebody's watching you with the, good old Harry, if somebody's watching you, oh bless you, if somebody's watching you with the idea of nicking a dog, they need to look at you and think, yeah, I'm not going to bother with that person. You need to look alert. So walk confident, so shoulders back, head up, but you need to, and this is really important, you need to be checking around you all the time. So you need to be, as you're walking, just turn, keep checking. That's my husband, he's not a dodgy man. Keep checking as you're walking around. So check your 6 o'clock, your 9 o'clock, your 3 o'clock. Just keep turning around and just checking no one's behind you. But also it means if somebody is watching you, you might not know they're watching you, but it just means that if they are watching you, they're thinking she's alert, she's on the game, she's not on the game, but she's alert, and that's a whole different video. But anyway, she's alert and she's not an easy target. You don't want to look like an easy target. Now, even if you are old or you're ill or you're disabled, even if you're in a wheelchair, anything like that, that does not put you at a disadvantage. You've got to look like you've got an attitude problem. I look like I've got an attitude problem most of the time because I have. So you need to look like you've got an attitude problem, and you're not, oh, we're off, and you're not somebody that's just going to be an easy target. That is the number one tip. The next tip I would give you is, now, it's really hard not to walk your dogs the same time every day, and I actually think it's a good idea to walk your dogs the same time every day. It's good for them to have routine. But if you can, don't do the actual same walk every day. And when you come out of your house, just be aware of any cars that are hanging around with people in it. And again, it's all about looking like you are aware of your environment, because people who steal dogs they're not going to want to go to prison for it. Well, they will be going to prison soon because the laws are all changing. But they're not going to want to go to prison. They're not going to want to be done for GBH, and they're certainly not going to want to be done for murder. So they don't want to fight. They just want to get on with what they just want a quick snatch and go. And so you've got to look like you're aware of that they're around and that isn't going to be happening. Now, the other tip I would give you is when people come up to you to say hello to your dogs, as they do, you can't always stop that. You need to make sure that you're not answering questions about your dogs. Now, remember what I said earlier, this could be a nice lady. It doesn't have to be some man that looks like he's going to steal your dog. This could be a perfectly nice looking lady. Actually, she's working for a dog theft gang, and she's wondering whether to nick your dogs. Now, like I said, any dogs can be nicked for any situation, but there will be some people who are only stealing dogs for breeding or for resale. So they're going to ask questions like, oh, have they been neutered? Have they been spayed? How old are they? So lie your backside off. Get the age wrong. Lie about illnesses. Lie about, say they have been done. Just lie, because you don't know why these people are asking the questions. Now, it's a sad world because there's a massive chance that they're just interested. I'm always interested in other people's dogs, but it could be somebody who's up to no good. So be careful of that. And that goes both ways. Don't ask other people too many questions about their dogs, because you could worry them. Right, I'm going to go now because there's a whole load of dogs up here. My dogs are going to want to say hello to them, which is fine. But like I said, I want to be alert and on my game. So, not the game. I'm not on the game. I've got to stop saying I'm on the game. I'm not on the game. So, I'm going to give you another tip in a minute. Okay, so something I want to show you is the harnesses. Now, I walk my dogs on a harness. I would have done this anyway because I don't like collars around the throat, but the main reason that I do it is because it keeps, I'm going to show you the harness I use. Now, you can get harnesses where they clip on the sides, and the problem with that is if somebody has approached you and they're trying to steal your dog, they could unclip that harness really easily, and that's you gone. That's your dog gone. The harnesses I use, let me demonstrate. Harry, come here, darling. Right, so this is my dog Harry. Let me just demonstrate. So if you can see here, oh, good boy. There's no clips along the side. So this is the side of him. There's no clips along there. The way this harness is put on, you've got this bit here that you squeeze, and you tighten that or you loosen that. So there's no clips, and this is so important. There's no clips anywhere else on this harness. So when you're putting the harness on, you put the head through it and you put the legs through it. You make it big, head through, legs through, and then you tighten it up with this bit here. And the vital thing about that is that if somebody comes to steal your dog, if you hold your hands like that, there is as long as your hands don't come undone, there is no way that they're able to get your dog. Because, like I said, so the harness won't just come undone because there's no clips for it to come undone, and they can't unclip it because the only way they can get your dog out of this harness is if they press this here, pull it up, and then they could get your dog out of the harness. But if your hands are there, it wouldn't even matter with me holding it like that if they managed to get to that clip bit, because I'm holding it here and I'm holding that really tight. So as long as I don't let go, they can't get the dog out of the harness. And this is vital, because if you're being attacked, now I do weight training, I'm probably stronger than the average woman, but it doesn't matter whether you do that kind of stuff or not. what matters is that you keep hold of the harness like this. Now, if your harness has got clips, this is all completely pointless, because they could unclip those clips, or the clips could just come undone. But if you've got this kind of harness, when we get home, I'm going to show you the harness when it's the dog, when Harry's not wearing it, and you can see it. And then hold like this and hold tight, and always hold your dog towards you. Now, don't be bothering about fighting or having sprays or any of that. Forget all of that. The whole thing you need to do is, and trust me, I've put years and years of thought into this, hold on to your dog so they can't get hold of your dog. So you need to grab hold of the harness, so drop the lead, forget about the lead, grab hold of the harness and hold on with both hands and pull the dog in towards you. And if they're trying to grab the dog off you, which is what they do, you need to lie on top of the dog. Now, the dog might get hurt in this, but it is so much better than them getting stolen and what they're going to do to them. So you can't really worry about that too much. So you need to either, I'm not going to demonstrate here because I'm in the middle of a public field, but lie down on top of your dog or sort of crouch over your dog. Now, they may kick you and attack you a bit, but it doesn't matter. They can't get hold of the dog. Always remember, these people, as awful as they are, they do not want to be done for GBH, and they certainly don't want to be done for murder. They're not going to kill you, and they're not going to really beat you up, because then it's GBH, and that's a whole different ball game to being done for dog theft. And although the prison sentences for dog theft are getting so much better, GBH is a whole different ball game. They're not going to want to do that. So hold on to the dog, lie on top of the dog, or arch yourself over the dog so you protect the dog so they can't get to the dog. But the most important thing is to have a harness that doesn't have clips. So you're holding on like this, and there is no way they're getting that dog, because if it's got clips and they unclip it, two things can happen. They can grab the dog, or the dog can run off scared. So hold it like this, close to you, really close to you, so that they can't get the dog if they're trying. That's a vital tip, and I've put years and years, good boy Harry, good boy, thank you for demonstrating, thank you. I've put years and years and years of thought into that, and I've had that plan for years, but like I said, I've done martial arts, I've done weight training, and that is the best one that I've come up with. I can't see a way they can get the dog off you in that situation, and even if you've got a massive dog, I would still go with the same. Now, personally, I think if you're walking a dog and you've got the collar on, you're at a massive disadvantage, because you can't pull that collar tight, because you're going to kill your dog, you're going to strangle it. So you're at a massive disadvantage. But if you don't want to walk your dog on a harness, because he is a big dog and it wouldn't be a good way to walk him, put your arms around the dog. So if you've got a big dog like a German Shepherd or something like that that's got a collar on, put your arms around the dog and hold on for dear life. You want the dog in and close to you, so the only way they're able to get that dog off you is to hurt you. And like I said, they're really not going to want to do that. Now, this is another thing, and this is important. There are cases where they've come up to people with a knife and they've said, I've got to stand up, hold on a minute, with a knife, and people have just handed their dogs over. Personally, I wouldn't care if they had a knife or whatever they had. Nothing would make me hand my dog over, nothing at all. And they better hope they run fast, because if I got hold of them, they're going to need help. If someone comes up to you and threatens you with a knife, I know I can't say to you do or don't do this, because everybody's different personalities, but please don't just because you see a knife hand your dog over. Have a little think about this. Think about it before it ever happens to you. They're not going to want to be done for GBH. If they stab you, they could kill you. They're not going to want to be done for murder, for stealing your dog. So you really need to, don't be, I've heard people say, oh, they had a knife. Oh, so what just hand the dog over then. No, you don't just hand the dog over. But this also goes back to, like I said before, you've got to look like you've got an attitude problem, so that they don't think that you would be an easy target and they could just come up to you, show you a knife, and you're going to be scared and hand the dog over. So you really start to look, you need to look like you're a redhead with an attitude problem. I'm a redhead. A short redhead, 5'2", with an attitude problem, going through the menopause. Even if you're a 60-year-old man, you need to find your inner redhead woman who's going through the menopause, and you need to have that attitude about you, and you really are not going to look like a target. Now, another technique that they use is called a distraction technique, and this happens an awful lot. It's very simple. One person comes up and asks you directions or just talks to you about something. Sometimes they pretend they're hurt and it's something more serious. Somebody else is stealing your dog. That works with dogs that are off lead, really. So like I said, the person's talking to you and then the other person is calling your dog over, and that's it, your dog's gone. It's called the distraction technique, if you want to Google it. Okay, so the next thing is when I'm walking along the road with Harry, the side that your dog walks on, so for me, he walks on my left hand side, so make sure that he is not closest to the cars, because they often pull up, come on Pickle, this way, they often pull up and then steal the dogs. So you need to make sure that you are between your dog and the car so that can't happen. Another time when dogs are really vulnerable is if you've walked your dogs somewhere where you've taken them in the car, when you're putting the dogs away, you can easily be distracted, and a lot of dogs get stolen then. And obviously it goes without saying, don't leave dogs in cars. Apart from the fact that you shouldn't leave dogs in cars, I didn't even notice that. There we go. So even though it goes without saying you shouldn't leave dogs in cars because of the whole heat issue and all of that, but you shouldn't leave dogs in cars because so many dogs get stolen from cars. Now I'm thinking, well, I don't know how you'd get in my car, but the point is that's not my job. It's the thief's job to know how to get into your car, and more importantly, they do know how to get into your car, and they know how to steal your precious little dog that's inside it. Another point I just want to quickly make is, when I've been recording this video, I've been massively distracted on this walk. Now it doesn't matter because my husband's with me and he's keeping us safe. But the point is, don't be on your phone when you're on your walk, because you will be distracted. Even if you think you're not, you will be distracted. And another point I just want to make, a lady just came up to us when we were walking and said she wanted to know what breed Albert was and how old he was. Again, you know, she might have just been a nice lady. She didn't seem that nice, quite frankly. And so we just lied. And just be a little bit more aware of what people's intentions are. Right, so we're back from the walk now, and I'm going to show you the harness without the dogs in it. So I've got two of them here, so let me show you the harnesses. Right, so you can see that, like I said, there's no clips on there. There's just this bit here with the foam. There's absolutely no clips, it's just straps. You've got this bit here where you can adjust, but that's really, really awkward to pull. They wouldn't just be able to pull that, that's really awkward. And you haven't got any clips. Do you know what I mean by the clips? Like you squeeze them and you clip in the harnesses, and most harnesses are made like that. But these ones aren't, so this is all just straps. And then to put the harness on the dog, there's this bit here which I was showing you earlier, and you see how to take the harness off the dog, we pull it all the way up, so it comes all the way back up to the loop. And that's how much you have to pull it to get the dog out of it. Well, that would be impossible if you were holding it with your hands the way that I said. And then to just tighten, so you put the dog through all of these bits, then you just squeeze that and you just tighten it up to however tight you want it. So as long as you've got your hands, so if that's the bit there, as long as you've got your hands here, it doesn't even matter if they got hold of that and pulled it, it won't make any difference because you're holding the dog here. The other thing I just wanted to say, because I don't want to forget it, is about leaving your dog outside shops. They're just sitting ducks sitting outside a shop, and get stolen from outside shops all the time. And if you are going to steal a dog, that's the first place they go to, because there's just a dog sitting there with no owner. They just walk up, take the dog, nobody suspects anything. Sometimes dogs kick up about it and don't want to go and get dragged, and that makes people aware. And some dogs have been saved because somebody has noticed and thought that isn't the owner. But on the whole, these people the thing is with these people is they're very experienced dog handlers, and so they can walk up and just steal a dog and nobody bats an eyelid at it. So don't leave dogs outside shops, it's completely dangerous. Please don't do that. So that's that tip. Okay, the next thing is keeping your dog safe when they're in the garden. So many dogs again are getting stolen from gardens. Again, please don't just take my word for it, Google it. I need you to believe that this is true, and it's not just some woman on YouTube saying it. I need you to understand that this is true. They are stealing dogs from gardens all the time, and sometimes it's dog owners say, I pop back in for 2 minutes. Now we're lucky from this respect because we don't have a big garden. I can see the whole garden from the back of the house, and the back of the house is all glass, so it's really easy for us to see, and it's really not a big garden. So we're at a massive advantage. Also a massive advantage because we're in the middle of other houses, and so we're not easily accessible. It's not like either of our fences are by roads or anything. And what I always think about is, if I think I'm just going to pop in, is I don't know that there's not somebody down the bottom of the garden, which isn't far away, watching me now. Somebody could be down there now watching me through that fence recording this, planning to steal Albert. And if I go away, he's just going to do it. So let me just tell you a couple of things I do. So we've put trellis. Now I can't show you this because I don't, obviously for security, I don't want to show you my garden. But we've got trellis all around the top of all the fences. And that just means they haven't got something easy. So when they jump over a fence, it's very easy if it's a solid fence for them to jump over. If you've got a trellis that's going to snap, make a right old racket and be quite dangerous, that's going to really put them off. So we've got trellis all the way around our whole garden, on top of our fence. Obviously, it goes without saying, keep your back gate locked. The amount of people I know who have got dogs and don't keep that back gate locked, even though I'm telling them, they're still not doing it. If somebody wants to nick the dog, just open the back gate and the dog's going to come. Honestly, please lock your back gate. I'm not going to. Well, the problem is, as with anything in this video, I don't want to scare you, and I don't want you to stop enjoying your dog. So your dog pootling out in the garden, it's all part of just nice life, and I don't want that to stop for you. But you do need to be aware that if you're leaving your dog out in the garden, you are putting that dog at risk. And like I said, Google it. Don't take my word for it. Google it. They are nicking dogs out of gardens all the time. So don't leave your dog. Certainly don't leave your dog out in the garden and then shut up the back door and be gone. Going back in the house. And another thing I see all the time is people leaving dogs out in gardens, and the dog is barking non-stop. So that dog's going to love a bit of attention. So if somebody comes to steal the dog, the chances are the dog's going to go to the person, and that's it, dog's gone. Clearly there's no owner around because that dog wouldn't be constantly barking otherwise. So, it's things like that. You really just need to be aware of stuff like that. And on that point, I want to make a point. I don't train my dogs not to bark, simply because if somebody is around my property, I want to know about it. So what I do instead is I train my dogs, okay, you can bark, but then they stop barking the second that I say, okay, thank you, that's enough. And they will stop barking. So they bark, I go and check, see if anything's there. And the thing with that is, not only is it good for you to do that so you know if there's anybody around your house, but it also makes the dog feel nice. I love how Albert just walks off when I'm filming. Harry will sit there until I've filmed. Albert just walks off. Look at some plants and a pot. Hang on, this is important. I don't want to forget this. I've completely forgotten what I was saying. Oh yeah, barking. So I personally don't train my dogs not to bark, because that could highlight to me that somebody's around the house that I need to know about. But I do make sure they stop as soon as I say it. So a couple of barks, I check, and I say to them, okay, thank you for letting me know, and then that's it, and that's the end of that. I've got one more thing I want to talk to you by the front door, so I'll go and do that now. Right, my next tip. You probably can't tell, but I'm actually outside and Albert's inside there on his bed. Now, during the day, as you know, if you watch my videos, they just sleep on sofas or they just follow me around. But they do sleep on this bed in the kitchen. Now, I never ever leave them to sleep downstairs at night time, because this is our back door. That's their bed. If they were sleeping, they would be completely visible. So many dogs get stolen at night time when the thieves break in through the back door and steal them. They don't steal anything else from the house. There could be all sorts of valuables and they don't steal any of that. They purely want the dog. And so I never ever let the dog sleep downstairs. They sleep upstairs with us, where I know that they're safe. Something else actually while I'm on this subject is, this isn't happening as much. It's a technique they're kind of dropping now. But in the past, what they were doing was somebody would go around and knock on all the doors. The dogs, the houses where dogs were barking, they would mark with a cross, with chalk. Now that's something that they're not doing now really. It's stopping massively because people just became so aware of it. But there's nothing to say they wouldn't start it again. So just be aware if you ever come out of your house and there's any kind of chalk mark anywhere near your property. Now the problem with that at the moment is, as I'm recording this, so where are we now? June 2022. There's a bit of a craze going on for the kids to be using chalk out on the pavement, which is great. I love it. I think it's old-fashioned. It's great for them to get outside. So don't be alarmed if you come out your house and there's a chalk mark. It could be just kids doing it. But yeah, like I said, they're not doing that as much now because the police got quite involved with that, and so they're not doing it as much. But it's just something that you need to be aware of. I don't even know if I've got any more tips. I'll go and look at my list and I'll speak to you in a minute. Okay, the next subject is, and this one's a bit of a sensitive one, but over and over again you hear of dogs who got stolen when they were left with friends and relatives. Now, as lovely as those friends and relatives are, there's two things. Their houses aren't secure for dogs, and they don't think like dog owners like we do. And that is why so many people leave their dogs with family or relatives and they then get stolen. And it's tragic, and that must be just awful for everybody concerned. So be aware that if you're gonna, and I understand real life means sometimes you're gonna have to, and it's probably better than the dogs being left on their own. But please be aware that they might not think like a dog owner would, and so just check that their property's secure, and they don't, just have not a chat with them, because you don't want to be offending them, but just be aware that they won't think like we do, and you might need to mention a few things. The other thing I want to say is that when I'm answering the front door, I don't let the dogs come to the front door. Two reasons. A lot of dogs get stolen. People just knock on the door, steal the dog. That happens quite a lot. And also, people will know I've got dogs because they will bark if somebody knocks on the door, but you don't want them to see them. Now, I've got a stair gate that's off my sitting room and off my kitchen. So you've got my hallway, then the kitchen and the sitting room both off the hallway. And I have a stair gate on either room. If I can, I like to get them into the kitchen, because when I answer the front door, you then can't see them. But often they will run into the sitting room, and I'll close that stair gate, and you can't see them as clearly. You can see them, but not as clearly. I never ever let them go to the front door. Two reasons. Albert would run away, never come home. Harry wouldn't. He's a sweetheart. My little angel Harry. He wouldn't. He would just sit there nicely and do what I told him to do. But Albert would be gone to explore the world. So if you don't know my videos, Albert's the one at the back, and he's an absolute hooligan. He's a free man, does whatever he wants in life. Although he's a wonderful little darling and I love him. Then you've got my little angel sitting here in the front, Harry. He does whatever I ask him to do. Absolute sweetheart. They're both sweethearts, but Albert's more of a free man. So I don't just let them go to the front door. And the other point I wanted to make was that so often dogs go missing when builders are coming. Now, it's not builders' responsibilities to be closing gates and looking after your dogs. It's not their responsibilities. It's your responsibility. So you've got to make sure that if you've got builders in, that the dogs are somewhere where they can't get out, because so many times people's gates got left open, the builders were in, and they got out. Another point I want to make, and again, and I know this makes me sound like I don't trust anybody in the world, but I kind of don't. You kind of need to be a little bit alert about this kind of things. And this is, if you've got builders in, just be a little bit aware if they're asking too many questions. Just, because the problem is the people who, supposing somebody knows a breeder and they want Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, let's say, they will approach people like builders who are going into multiple houses. They'll offer them a lot of money and they'll say, we need 10 female Springer Spaniels or whatever, King Charles or whatever, to be breeding. And so they'll go off and they'll find them. And if they come into your house and you've got a dog that might be that breed and they ask, and then they'll go back and tell the breeders and be like, yeah, so here's the address. There's a King Charles in there. She's 8 months old. She hasn't been done. Very friendly, nice temperament, looks great. And then you're just going to go on the list for your dog to get nicked. And I know that sounds scary, and I know it sounds like I'm over the top and I don't trust anybody. But like I keep saying in this video, don't just listen to me. Go on Google. I'm not just telling lies. These are the actual facts. And if you go on Google dog theft, your town where you live, your country, and the date that you're in now, and trust me, you will get stories of it. And it's much, much better to be educated, to be cynical, and to not trust anybody. And and then to keep your dog safe, because the things that will happen to your dogs if they get stolen are absolutely horrific, and it will ruin you. It will ruin your life. It's just not worth taking the risk. But like I said, put these measures into place, but then just get on with life and enjoy your dog. So after all of that, I'm going to go. I don't think I've got anything else to say on the subject. But as always, any comments at all, pop them into anything you want to say, pop them in comments. Furry and Spoilt is on Twitter, it's on Instagram. I've got a website that's I'm building at the moment, and hashtag Furry and Spoilt, so you can show me the little lovelies that you're protecting. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.